All right, we have 3 power sessions coming through. And the first, we're very lucky that Max Cunningham from the ASX can be here today, given the market agitations. So let's not waste any time and bring Max up. He's the head of listings at ASX. Thanks, Max. Thank
you. Thanks, Nathan. Look, I might just open with a quick thank you and commentary. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, I was in Israel a few months ago, and I'm lucky it wasn't my first time. I've been there before, but this was the first time on business. And when I was introduced as an Aussie, I had a lot of people coming up and telling me how lucky we were to have a great Australian ambassador in the form of Dave Sharma. Well, I'd like to say to everybody here today how fortunate you are to have such a phenomenal consul in the form of Ethi and her team. I mean, this event was her brainchild, and it really is fantastic to be here speaking to you all today at this event. So we wanted to just run through a few pictures today to just give you a sort of quick snapshot on the state of the Australian market and the Australian capital market. And indeed, I think in the previous presentation, Alex and Gary touched on some of those themes, and hopefully you'll pick up a little bit of consistency with this today. But just a quick snapshot for those of you who are not familiar with the full state of the Australian economy. We've had 25 years of unprecedented growth. Australia, so I think as far as the developed world, that's the only market that I'm aware of that hasn't had a quarter of negative GDP growth in 25 years. Government debt is about the lowest anywhere in the world. And our market, the ASX, is particularly strong. We've got 2,100 listed companies, and current market cap for our market is around about $1.5 trillion Aussie. We are a global leader in equity capital markets. Now, everyone wants to say they're a global leader. What does that mean? I think some of it was touched on in the last panel. It's the size of our capital market. We currently have $1.5 trillion Aussie of investable funds. Now, that is the largest pool of investable funds in Asia, but perhaps more importantly, it's the 3rd largest anywhere in the world. That is mandated by 9% of Australian income going into superannuation, and that is due to grow by 2020 to around about, I think the figure is around about $6 trillion. So pretty impressive, and even today the figure is pretty strong by global standards. This is a really important feature, I think, for anyone who's looking at listing in a market, and something that we probably don't talk enough about. ASX is a single board. We're a main board. Now, a lot of people talk about second boards, and they give opportunities for smaller companies, and maybe they've got lower sort of corporate governance and things like that. I think one of the benefits of a main board is obviously corporate governance and all of the features that you get with a main market. And bearing in mind, we've got 2,100 companies as low as sort of $10 or $15 million. But I actually think the thing that often gets missed when you're talking about a main board, a single board, is universal connectivity. So ASX, if you're listed on the ASX, you are connected with every fund manager, you're connected with every broker, and you're connected with every retail investor in the country. And that's an important distinction if you're looking at second boards or comping ASX with other markets anywhere in the world. The other important thing, I think, is benchmarks for local indices. So just to give you a bit of reference point, there's 2 key indexes in Australia. They are the ASX S&P 200 and the ASX S&P 300, which is the small cap index. In US dollar terms, the entry point for the 200 is around about I think it's 300 million US, and for the 300 it's around about 140 million US. Now, to compare that with the S&P 500 and the benchmark index in the UK, you're looking at around about $5 billion US. And the importance there is you're getting direct access. If you're close to the index or you're within reaching distance of either of those indices, you are going to get coverage from brokers, you are going to get coverage from fund managers, and there's also going to be a natural starting point for liquidity. I think Alex touched on this from Thorney Investments in the last presentation, and it is very true. There has been a real significant pickup over the last 3 years in tech stocks. Some of them have been listing a little bit too early, but nevertheless, we've got currently 180 tech stocks listed. 80 of which have listed in the last 18 months, of varying sizes. And I'm pleased to report some of the great tech and well-developed tech stocks that have listed, and look them up. WiseTech and Econex, global businesses, global software businesses that have listed sort of in the last 1 to 3 years, have had phenomenal performance by any measure, well received and well owned by the local market. And another one that I'll mention that's got a very easy name to remember is Catapult. And they came on at around about $40–50 million, and they've now got a market cap. They had a $100 million equity raising through Goldman, I think around about 6 months ago, and currently stand at around about $350 million. This is also important. This is the international companies. We've currently got a very, very broad range of international companies listed on the market. They cover a broad range of sectors, and indeed, it's one of some of the names you'll notice there: Iron Mountain, ResMed, Henderson. They're global companies. They've got some connections here, but more importantly, they continue to maintain listings here because they've got a very deep material liquidity. But perhaps more relevant for everybody in this room is some of the other sort of mid-sized, smaller companies that we've got from a diverse range of countries. But the common theme that all of these companies have got is that they've had a developed business model, they've understood the local market, they've basically been using the market to fund organic growth, and all of these businesses have got global ambitions. The one country that's missing off this slide is New Zealand. Of course, they're our neighbour. Tomorrow I'll be proudly ringing the bell for the 50th Kiwi company listing on the ASX. But it's also worthwhile just picking up on another theme I'd like to mention in terms of partnership. I've got New Zealand there, I've got Singapore there, but also we'll talk a little bit about Israel. On the stage yesterday presenting the pitching competition was Johnny Weiss and Tanya Ozil from the Innovation Circle. And I have to say these guys have been the crucial partners for the ASX in New Zealand. They're the crucial partners for us in Singapore, and they're the guys that brought us to Israel. And if anyone in the room wants to do business in any of those markets, including Australia, you're crazy not having any contact with those guys because they're true partners. Finally, I'll wrap up on Israel. Unfortunately, when we did this, the market cap was $1 billion due to events in markets today. It's a bit less than $1 billion. Hopefully, Nathan, I'm not stealing any of your Trump jokes. But importantly, we've got 6 Israeli companies, very, very solid market cap. 2 of them, one's got a market cap of around about $650 million. Audio Pixels, a digital music compression company, has been listed for 5 years, a very, very solid performer, well received and well understood by investors. MFC is a water treatment business. I think they've been listed for under a year, circa sort of $250 million. And we'll have, I think, another 2 or 3 Israeli companies listed by the end of the year. So there are other companies that have done it. You won't be groundbreaking. I think the message is ASX is a market that's open for business. It might not be for you, but I think if you're a mid-sized company and you're looking at public market capital or you're looking at an option, ASX should most certainly be on your list. And through a combination of talking to Ethy and Richard, Johnny and Tanya, contact details are up on the board. ASX, I'm also on the registration on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk anytime. And I'm pleased to say we're hoping to be hosting ASX in Israel Week sometime in the first half of next year, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Matt.